A North Carolina tenant is upset after her landlord tried to charge her a $250 security deposit for a goldfish. But I'm going to tell you exactly why the landlord was in the right. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over this weird story from North Carolina where this tenant basically said that the landlord tried to charge her a $250 security deposit for a goldfish. Okay, a goldfish living in a tank. And she just couldn't figure out why in the world would the landlord want a pet security deposit for a goldfish. It seemed like it was a non-issue to her, and she was not very happy about it. And she posted it. I believe it was to Reddit, or maybe it was on TikTok, but whatever. The point is that it's an interesting story. I have a different perspective, being a landlord myself, and having had to deal with tenants with pets and all sorts of pet-related issues. Okay, so yeah, I personally believe that $250 security deposit is required for a goldfish, one living in a tank. Okay, I think that she needs to face reality, and if she doesn't like it, she can move on to somewhere else where there is no pet security deposit for her goldfish. Otherwise, she can put that money down and she'll get it back if there's no damages done after her lease ends. Okay, that's pretty simple. If there's no damage done by your pet when the lease ends, you get that money back. This isn't a bill that you're paying towards your landlord. Okay, this is a security deposit, and that covers damages that may possibly be done, and that's why we charge this sort of thing. So I've had all sorts of pets in my units. Most of the time I've had tenants not even tell me if they're going to have a pet in my unit. So when I start the lease off, maybe they didn't have a pet. At some point in time, they acquired a pet and they didn't pay me my security deposit. They weren't paying the pet rent or whatever. And so that's a problem. That's a big problem, especially when after the tenant moves out, all of a sudden you see your floors are all scratched up. You see, there's a odor to your place, and you got to get the place super clean because it smells like old wet dog hair or like feces. Okay, that sucks. So yeah, there's a good reason why we want that little bit of extra money just in case there are damages done, and I'll explain it as we go through this article. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So as a landlord or as a tenant, whoever's watching this video, do you think a landlord would be justified in asking for a $250 security deposit for a goldfish, or not a goldfish, but for a fish in an aquarium? Okay. And, I already let you know what I think, and I'm going to tell you why as we go through the article, but put your reasons why down in the comments below. So let's get into it. This article is coming from the New York Post, and it says, Mom blasts landlord for trying to charge a $250 pet fee for a goldfish. I guess it was a goldfish. I thought it was a different fish. But anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. There's something fishy afoot, but this renter is not taking the bait. Refusing to be reeled in by her slippery landlord's apparent money grab, an outraged tenant is virtually deep frying her property owners for attempting to hook her with a pricey pet fee for a tanked goldfish. Tell me why my mother effing apartment complex tried to charge me $250 for a fish as a pet fee, gripped leaseholder Aviana Brown from North Carolina in a trending TikTok tell-all. In the eye-opening post, which has netted a whopping 236,900 views, Brown, a mother of one, shared screenshots of text messages from her complex's leasing office insisting she fill out a PEP application and submit a $250 money order for her scaly little swimmer. So yeah, first of all, we noticed that, hey, this is coming from the leasing office at an apartment complex. This is not a smaller landlord, or it might be a smaller landlord, but they own an apartment complex. And I'm assuming if it has a leasing office, it's probably at least 50 or 100 units. Okay, so this is a pretty large apartment building where she lives, right? And they probably have a blanket rule that says that any pets, be it a hamster, be it a goldfish, be it a dog, cat, whatever, right? Any pet that you have up in your unit, you are required to put this $250 security deposit down. Now, she might feel that she is exempt, but this is probably clearly laid out in her lease. And if she took the time to read the lease, then she would understand that. If she asked questions to her landlord when she was before she signed the lease, she would have known all of this. Like, hey, can you clarify this pet security deposit part? Because as far as I know, a goldfish is a pet. So therefore, if it says all pets you must have a security deposit for, well, you don't get mad that the landlord came and asked for their security deposit because that's the lease that you signed. Okay? Confused by the request, the single mom admittedly ignored the demand as she failed to consider the goldfish, which, unlike a dog or cat, is typically 6 inches long, confined to a fish bowl, and causes little to no noise or damage, an actual pet. But when the landlord issued Brown a past due notice for the October's rent, which she claims to have paid in full in September, owing to her refusal to cough up the extra $250, she nearly went wild. Brown offered social media spectators a glimpse at her text correspondences with the complex owners, who unyieldingly ordered her to pay the hefty pet fee for the grilled companion that lives in a 2.5-gallon tabletop tank. So now I'm going to tell you exactly why I believe that she needs to pay that money. Okay. Now they made a comment here. They say that she believed that the pet will cause little or no damage. Now, little is damage, okay? $250 security deposit is not that much. But keep in mind that if you exempt this lady here with her small, aquarium, well, then you have to basically exempt everyone with an aquarium no matter what size. And that could be somebody who has a gigantic, full ocean aquarium sitting in their house, okay? And aquariums, believe it or not, they have water in them. And if the water comes out of the aquarium, guess what that could do? Quite a bit of damage. It could do quite a bit of damage to a unit and cause a great big mess that needs to be cleaned up and paid for by the landlord. That is what your security deposit is covering. Now, they're not going to exempt you just because your tank is a little bit smaller, because, like I said, they would have to exempt everyone. And that's just not right. Okay, so pony up the money, the security deposit. Like I said, you'll get that money back at the end of your lease if there is no damage. It is a security deposit, but you stop feeling entitled. I hate this sense of entitlement from people. Oh, well, that's not a pet. What's next? Your cat isn't a pet. Your boa constrictor isn't an actual pet. Whatever. Okay, you need to follow the rules that you agreed to when you signed your lease. Otherwise, you're in violation of that lease. And yeah, I believe the landlord should have a right to evict you if you don't pay that $250. Am I tripping or what? A stunned Brown asked viewers, who eagerly weighed in with suspicions about the seemingly slimy stunt. This is robbery, assured an incensed commenter. The landlord better go straight to hell, barked another. The fish would be sitting right in their office because they have lost their minds, chimed in equally perturbed support. Tell them you flushed it and removed the fee, said a quick thinking schemer. Tell them your fish is an emotional support animal. Legally, they have to allow it with no fee, another suggested. Yeah, lots of comments coming from a bunch of people who don't live there, don't know the terms of the lease, don't know the landlords, don't know the tenant. And if you take their bad advice, well, you could very much end up having to find another place because the landlord could evict you. I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair at all. But believe me, people try to get away with everything they can. And that's why, as a landlord, you just can't make any exceptions to your rules. And I agree with this landlord for doing this. Yeah. So, yeah, this is Unfortunate for you that you have to come up with that $250, but don't listen to these morons in the comments section on some forum just because you don't feel that it's right or justified. Hey, it might not be, you know, cool. It might not be fair, but it is what you agreed to. And if you didn't want to pay that $250 security deposit, either you shouldn't have gotten a pet or you shouldn't be living in this apartment.